minute to 4:20.
Okay, 1 minute to 4:20. I'll keep talking, you keep toking, okay? That's what we'll do. Next year, we get this unique opportunity. It's a referendum on the future of marijuana. It's in our hands. For the first time ever, it doesn't matter what any politician says. Justin Trudeau's never going to go back on that. He said, if I'm Prime Minister, I'm going to legalize marijuana. Everybody's heard him say it hundreds of times. He cannot renege on that promise. He will not renege on that promise. He would go down in history if he legalized marijuana. For generations of loyal Canadians would vote Liberal for decades afterwards because he would be identified as the person who legalized marijuana. That's going to be in the future a great thing. Of all the Prime Ministers, Prime Minister Trudeau, his father, gave us the Charter of Rights, and Prime Minister Trudeau, the son, liberated millions of Canadians from oppression. Come on, man, that's a legacy you want your family to have, right? 4, 3, 2, 1, 420!
Happy 420!
So I know that we will have legal marijuana on October 19th next year because everybody in our culture, right, is just going to show up. That's going to be our slogan, Legalization Day. October 18th, just show up. So much of history is determined by the people who just show up. And polls have showed that elections are won by the party with the most passionate base. And our people ought to be passionate after 45 years of prohibition. And 2 million Canadians have been arrested. Hard for people to imagine. 40,000 Canadians were arrested last year, and the number's going back up. It used to be going down, it's going back up. So it's just because we can smoke a lot of pot here in Toronto or in Vancouver or Montreal doesn't mean all those places like Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and Lethbridge, Alberta, and all these places that are not those big cities, they don't have the same thing. RCMP will come and kick their ass, and they'll harass them and arrest them and charge them, and they'll go to jail. You know, so just because we have it good in the cities doesn't mean we should be cynical about voting. We should make sure that all Canadians are protected by a new law that's going to be guaranteed to come in if we get the Liberal Party a majority government. So that means our 3 million people have to show up. Normally we're cynical about politicians. We don't believe in politicians. Politicians lie to us all the time of every political party, and then they're silent. You know, in the United States, every state legislature has some guy trying to legalize pot. Oftentimes a Republican, mostly a Democrat, but they're often working together in each of these states. And, you know, they're helping get these ballot initiatives written. In the House of Representatives, 235 people voted to tell Obama to make sure the medical marijuana states are respected. 235 congressmen. You can't get 2 people in our parliament to talk about pot in any way at all. They say nothing. In our provincial legislatures, everybody's silent. Well, when we legalize marijuana, how that looks is the minister goes before the Speaker of the House and says, Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Ministry of Health struck marijuana from the schedule of restricted drugs, of controlled substances. And when we strike it out of the schedule, it's now legal, it's not regulated. So the provinces will have to all step in and have their own legal regime, and that's how it's going to be regulated. Each province is going to have a different regulatory regime. And nobody's even talking about that, and that's going to happen next year. We're going to vote to legalize marijuana, and nobody there in the government would be astute enough to think about how we're going to do that. They're all pretending like it's not going to happen. No, it's going to happen. Prepare for it. Everywhere else in the world is preparing for it too. There's a reason we're speaking in Spain and Ireland and Vienna and Prague. Every country with progressive politicians, with forward-thinking politicians, is talking about what happens when we legalize marijuana this year, next year, the year after. Not next decade. They're not talking about it's going to happen in 10 years. Everybody knows it's going to happen in a few years, all throughout the world. You know, this is a culture that's overdue for justice, and we know it. So if we showed up to vote next year, we're going to see history made in our lifetime in a way that no other generation has experienced. 3 million people instantly liberated by 1 vote. It's going to be a staggering achievement. We'll be able to boast we made it happen. Really, that's going to be amazing. All right, well, that's enough of the megaphone stuff. But thank you for coming in. It's really great. You know, I've been here now 48 hours in Canada. My 4.5 years of being in a U.S. medium security prison is fading. And I'm not sure that's a good thing even then. I mean, I was very productive in prison. I have Somebody said, well, do you have any bad prison memories? I don't have any bad prison memories. Probably bad things happened in prison, but I'm not going to remember them, because that's the way I am with everything. I don't remember anything bad ever happening in any of my relationships over 35 years, but probably I had an argument or two, but I don't remember it. But I remember the great sex, I remember all the fun times and everything like that, and I think it's because that makes more sense to remember. Why would I remember those unpleasant things? So all I can remember about prison with any real detail is how much I love being in a rock and roll band, how much a guitar can be therapy when you're alone and feeling all by yourself, even when you're surrounded by people. 2,500 miles, right, 4,000 kilometers from home. I mean, they put me in the places as far away from Jody as you could get. You know, wow, southern Mississippi, could you send me further away? Yes, they did. They sent me to near Jacksonville, the exact opposite end of the continent. But I got through it. It's amazing, and I say this now, I say it's amazing what you can adapt to when you have to, right? So I adapted to 6 different prisons, and then I thought, you know, human beings have this wonderful ability to be adaptive.